أجمعين أما بعد. We are in Surah At-Talaq, which translates as divorce, and we've completed the first and second verse and portion of the third verse. So inshallah today we want to complete the third, fourth and the fifth verse. Inshallah. Third, fourth and fifth. However, the second and third are very, very closely related. So we're going to summarize the second. We're going to recite it as well as well as the third, fourth and fifth. Since we're going to start from the second, we might as well recite the first ayat. It doesn't make sense to leave out one ayat. But actually, there's a masla also in salah or in recitation. You shouldn't skip one ayat. Right? It's actually makruh. Because why you skip only one ayat? So that's why, since we're going to start from the second, might as well just start from the first. The tafseer will start between the second and the third, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها النبي إذا طلقتم النساء فطلقوهن لعدتهن وأحصوا العدة واتقوا الله ربكم لا تخرجوهن من بيوتهن ولا يخرجن إلا أن يأتين بفاحشة مبينة وتلك حدود الله ومن يتعد حدود الله فقد ظلم نفسه لا تدري لعل الله يحدث بعد ذلك أمرا فإذا بلغن أجلهن فأمسكوهن بمعروف أو فارقوهن بمعروف وأشهدوا ذوي عدل منكم وأقيموا الشهادة لله ذلكم يوعظ به من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه إن الله بالغ أمره قد جعل الله لكل شيء قدرا واللائي يئسن من المحيض من نسائكم إن ارتبتم فعدتهن 3 أشهر واللائي لم يحضن وأولاة الأحمال أجلهن أن يضعن حملهن ومن يتق الله يجعل له من أمره يسرا ذلك أمر الله أنزله إليكم ومن يتق الله يكفر عنه سيئاته ويعظم له أجرا صدق الله العظيم. In Surah At-Talaq, we said that there are many injunctions and rulings in respect to marital relationships. Specifically here, there are many injunctions, But here specifically in this surah and a little bit of Surah Baqarah, we spoke about the rules of divorce. So in the first verse, we spoke about Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam being told that when the Muslims, when they divorce their wives, and they should do it according to their iddah, their waiting period, and they should count this waiting period. And then we mentioned that the waiting period for different people, one is the woman who, the wife who they had relations with, then it's 3 menstrual periods. The wife there was no relationship with at all, right? Then it's automatically false. And then we're going to talk about 2 more categories later today, inshallah. But after that, Allah Ta'ala says, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ رَبَّكُمْ. And we're going to talk about that later today, inshallah. We spoke a little bit about it last time. Taqwa. Fear Allah, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ, have taqwa of your Lord. And then we did the ruling of لَا تُخْرِجُوهُنَّ مِن بُيُوتِهِنَّ, don't take them out of their homes. We also did the ruling وَلَا يَخْرُجْنَ, they should also not leave إِلَّا أَن يَأْتِينَ بِفَاحِشَةٍ مُبَيِّنَةٍ, unless they committed a grave evil. And وَتِلْكَ حُدُودُ اللَّهِ, these are the boundaries of Allah. وَمَن يَتَعَدَّ حُدُودَ اللَّهِ, and the one who transgresses the boundaries of Allah, he has oppressed himself. ظَلَمَ نَفْسَهُ. In other words, the end result, the consequence will be, natija will be in dunya and in akhirah as well. لا تدري لعل الله يحدث بعد ذلك أمرا. If you follow the system of Allah, you don't know. Allah may make a way for you never even imagined. Then Allah Ta'ala speaks about, and we discussed this last week, فَإِذَا بَلَغْنَ أَجَلَهُنَّ, when they do reach their due term, the talaq is complete. The 3 periods are, or the period is complete, meaning that the 3 cycles, the 3 months, whatever amount of time is, then you have a decision to finalize. فَأَمْسِكُهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ, either keep them, though on good terms according to the Sharia. Ma'ruf means on good terms, meaning according to the rules, standard, Sharia. أَوْ فَارِقُهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ, or if you separate with them, farq, right, judai, then that also you must do accordingly. You cannot just be in a fit of rage and anger and you take everything and you throw them out the house. It doesn't work like that, right? It has to be according to the rules. وَأَشْهِدُوا ذَوَىٰ عَدْلٍ مِّنكُمْ, and you should have 2 witnesses. وَأَقِيمُوا الشَّهَادَةِ لِلَّهِ, they should be a witness for Allah Ta'ala's sake, that this is what happened, this is the decision that was made. ذَلِكُمْ يُعَظُ بِهِ مَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. And this is the advice Allah has given for the one who believes in Allah and the last day. I want to bring everyone's attention. First, Allah Ta'ala spoke about taqwa, yes? Fear of Allah. Number 1. Number 2, the one who believes in Allah and the last day. Akhir, Yawm al-Akhir, the last day. So he drew attention, number 2, to the akhirah. Iman, of course, and akhirah. Again, Allah brings us back to taqwa. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. And the one who fears Allah, Allah will make for him a makhraj, an exit, a way, a solution. Now again, taqwa. Did you notice? First ayat, ruling, taqwa. Second ayat, ruling, taqwa. And also akhirah. وَيَرْزُقْهُ, ayat number 3. And this is where we are today. وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. And Allah will sustain that person from means he never thought of. He never imagined. لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. He never thought he would get help from this avenue, this source. Allah will give him help from that source. And it doesn't refer to the husband only. It can refer to any party, husband or wife. Okay. Number 3, وَمَن يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ, the one who has tawakkul on Allah, reliance on Allah, فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ, Allah suffices him. The one who relies on Allah, Allah suffices him. So there's 3 things Allah brought to our attention. Number 1, taqwa. Again, taqwa. Number 2, akhirah. Number 3, tawakkul, reliance. We're going to come back to this after this ayat finishes. Inna Allah balighu amri, verily Allah will complete His matter, His ruling, or He will complete what He intends to do. Here the English translation says, surely Allah is to accomplish His purpose. Basically, He will complete what His ruling is, what He is to do. قَدْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدْرًا. Verily, Allah has made for everything qadr. the amount, right? Qadr can mean amount, it could mean estimation. Here it says Allah Ta'ala has set a measure, estimation. He has set a measure for everything. And here specifically, Allah has set a rule for everything, set a law for everything, set a system for everything. So even nikah and marriage has a system, talaq and iddat also has a system. You have to follow this system. After that, the next verse, and we're going to come to the next two verses later, Allah Ta'ala speaks about the other categories of those who are also divorced. What do they do? Well, let's do it, no problem. It's very short also. In the next verse, Allah says, وَاللَّائِي يَئِسْنَا. As for those who are Aisa, Ya'isna, they are unhopeful, they have lost hope. And here it actually specifically refers to those who do not have minal mahid, hayd, those who do not go through these cycles. In other words, menopause, right? When a woman is of age, she no more goes through the menstrual cycles. So even a woman at old age may also what? Get divorced, isn't it? So what about her? Inirtabatum is just extra. It means that if they are in doubt. In other words, they're not sure if they get or not. You know, they some are really old, they know they don't get, and some are of that age, they may or may not. They're starting to lose that cycle. You know, they're unsure if they're still there. So they have a separate iddah, a separate count when they are divorced. What is that? فَعِدَّتُهُنَّ ثَلَاثَةُ أَشْهُرٍ. Their iddah is 3 months. So they don't count their hayd. Their iddah is 3 months. So I believe that's the fourth category of people who are now divorced. Fifth category, وَاللَّائِي لَمْ يَحِضْنَ. And similarly, those women who do not have hayd. And this is generally referring to a woman before she experiences the menstrual cycles. As you know, in Islam, just like in every other culture and religion in the past, minors, the marriage of minors was permissible. It's still permissible. But nowadays, everyone's making an issue out of it, even though they allow man to man to get married, woman to woman, man to become woman. I don't know what else they allow. They rewrite the whole alphabet, LGBT, I don't know, up to Z, the new alphabet. All that's okay. And giving little children, 12-year-olds, the decision to change their gender is okay. But when we say marriage to minors, that's not okay. It shows their hypocrisy. Anyway, yes, marriage to minors is completely permissible in Islam, but because the law of the land does not permit, so we don't allow it because of the law of the land. Otherwise, Islamically, it's permitted. And this is not something new. This is not something that's specific to Islam. Like I said, all religions had it, and all cultures, customs have it. They still have it now. They had it, and most countries in the world, they still have it, right? Only a few years ago, they allowed minors to get married. Only a few in America. They only changed it now. That's why man's law is not something to count on. It's not something that will bring justice, peace, will bring harmony. It'll never happen. It has to be God's law, period. There's no other law that will prevail, that will bring ultimate justice and what you call that? Justice as well as harmony, peace. Only Allah's law will bring justice and ultimate harmony in the world. No other law. This is it's not opinion, it's a fact. Anyway, so those women that do not reach that age, they're married already, they're young, 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, but they still haven't reached puberty. It can happen, right? And they are issued a divorce from their husbands, then they also follow the same ruling that they would have to pass 3 months. It would be their iddah, their waiting period will be 3 months. Last category, وَأُولَاتُ الْأَحْمَالِ. Haml, the word is haml. Haml is to carry, a weight, a burden, a weight, right? Here it's specifically speaking about pregnant women. Hamila, a woman who is pregnant. Now that's a fifth, I believe fifth or whichever category, but we did the different categories. So this is the last category is being discussed. That if a pregnant woman is given divorce, وَأُولَاتُ الْأَحْمَالِ أَجَلُهُنَّ, their waiting period will be what? Is it 3 months, 3 months and 10 days, or 4 months and 10 days, or is it 3 cycles? So these are different numbers we did, right? We did 4 months and 10 days. We did three cycles and we did 3 months. And this is the last one. أَن يَضَعْنَ حَمْلَهُنَّ. That they conceive, that they give birth. Not conceive, that they give birth. Their waiting period will be till they give birth. So if a woman is pregnant in her 2nd month, right, and the husband gives divorce, then her waiting period will be when she gives birth. After she gives birth, that waiting period is complete. Now they'll have to make the decision whether they're going to stay or not, whether they're going to separate or not. So if she's in her 3rd month, she'll wait, for example, 6 months. They'll wait 6 months. If she's in her 5th month, they'll wait 4 more months, like that. So these are the different scenarios of when a man issues divorce and what is the waiting period for the woman. These are the different categories. And now I want to bring you back to the attention to the same wording. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ. Taqwa. Again, Allah mentions taqwa again. And we're going to go a little bit deeper into this concept. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ. And the one who fears Allah. Taqwa. Right? يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مِنْ أَمْرِهِ yusra. Allah will make yusra, ease for him this matter of his. Allah Ta'ala will make ease this whole divorce, the process, the waiting, the resultant consequence, the aftermath, all of it, Allah will make this matter what? Easy. Easy. ذَلِكَ and finally Allah Ta'ala ends it off with saying ذَلِكَ أَمْرُ اللَّهِ. This is the command of Allah. This is the deen of Allah. The sharia and the law of Allah. أَنزَلَهُ إِلَيْكُمْ. That He has revealed to you. Again. How many times now? 4 times. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ. Again. You might say, yeah, taqwa is everywhere, it's in every surah. But every single injunction here, Allah brings taqwa over and over and over again. He doesn't do that in other places. He'll bring it once, that's it. But here, every single ruling He's bringing it. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ. Did you notice it now? This is why I said keep an eye out. Number 4. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ. The one who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, يُكَفِّرْ عَنْهُ سَيِّئَاتِهِ. Allah ta'ala will change He will change, يُكَفِّرْ عَنْهُ سَيِّئَاتِهِ. He will exchange him in his evil deeds. In other words, if a person has true taqwa, Allah ta'ala will change his evil deeds into good. Change his evil deeds into good. And remember, even though I'm saying his, all of these verses refer to both genders, right? Right? Refers to both man and woman. وَيُعْظِمْ لَهُ أَجْرًا. And He will increase him in reward, increase him in ajr, in thawab, in reward. Here it translates it as يُكَفِّرْ عَنْهُ سَيِّئَاتِهِ. He will write off his evil deeds. As I said, exchange, same thing. And He will give him a huge reward. Okay. So that ends the verses that we recited. And now I want to take us back to why Allah Ta'ala over and over mentions these words specifically. The reality is that whenever Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala issues a ruling, Allah Ta'ala's, the Quran is very unique in its style of law, right? Specifically when it comes to laws of crime, punishment, and in the same way also in the laws of nikah and talaq. What does this mean? That look, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, He wants us to follow the rules of Islam. But Allah Ta'ala doesn't want it to be by force. He doesn't want it to be by force. Those who study psychology, when you force something on someone, they will do it out of fear of you. The moment you're gone, they're not gonna think of it. They'll definitely do it. There's a nice saying in Arabic: "Al-insanu harisun fima muni'." Man is prone to do that which he is prevented from. You tell him, don't do. Now he'll start wondering, what is it? Why not? Let me try it. But if you don't tell him that much, he also won't think about it so much. And if you think about it, in the Quran, Allah Ta'ala doesn't say too many times, don't do. He'll say, don't do this, fear Allah. Then he'll keep going. So even the Quran, subhanAllah, psychologically addresses insan. In the same way, if you force someone to do something, generally they will not, if they listen, they'll listen out of fear of you. But once you're not there, now once that fear is not there of you and you're not there, they'll continue doing it. Or if you're always on, there's another problem that we try to tell parents. I'm also a new parent, we're learning, but we tell parents that don't always babysit your kids 24/7. You're just hovering over them every single second of the. What happens? They become like babies. Now everything they expect that, okay, my dad is here, my mom's here, they'll take care of it. They'll do it. That's why when a mother whines, like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? What happens? The kid, he doesn't listen also, and then he expects the mother to do it anyway. The father just comes in, hey, bas. That's it. Also, hey. There's a difference in the way the mother and the father raises it, and they have their ways. But what I'm saying is, when you force, pressure, keep on whining, not whining, what's the word? You keep on, pressing a matter, it doesn't get done so properly, so efficiently. In the same way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He doesn't police us in the Quran so much. He says, do this and fear Allah. Because the reality of the Quran and the message of the Quran and the psychology of Allah, what Allah ta'ala uses in the Quran is adopt Allah's fear, adopt Allah's taqwa, adopt the consciousness. Allah is always watching you. What's taqwa? Allah is always watching you. The moment a Muslim does this, then he'll automatically follow the rules. No one has to tell him anything. Think about it. How much police did you have in the time of Sahaba? There was no police. They understood, Allah's watching me, the angels are writing my deeds, Allah will get the khabar of everything. I need to not do this wrong. And I need to do this ruling. So they didn't have much to worry about, because the focus or the main influence or the main thing was what? Taqwa. Right? That was the pivot or the goal, or that was that's what, that was their main thing. They had taqwa. And because of taqwa, you didn't have to have police. They automatically follow the rules. This is the difference between a believer and a non-believer. Muslim or not, it's not Muslim, non-Muslim. One who believes in God, one who doesn't believe in God. If a person believes in God, when they stop at a red light, they'll stop because of their belief in God. Their belief in God will make them stop because they signed a paper saying that I will follow and abide by the rules of the land. And when they signed that contract, it wasn't just a legal document with the government. It was also a document with who? Allah Ta'ala. Because Allah Ta'ala also says, Awfu bil uqud. When you sign a document, a contract, you have to abide by that contract. So a person who has no respect for the legal system, he'll cross the red light. Who cares? There's no cops here. He did it out of fear of what? Cops. And when there's no cops there, he doesn't care. He'll go. But a person who abides by the contract he's made to Allah, he'll stop on that red light even when there's no cars, there's no police, there's no way of any police being there. He'll stop. Why? I signed a contract, and that contract includes abiding by the law of the land. There's a difference between a person who truly believes in God and a person who doesn't believe. And this is important in today's time. Unfortunately, we have to point it out, because nowadays we're living in a godless society. People want to disbelieve in God and say religion is something evil. We say religion was the only thing good in your life. Religion was the only thing that was good in your life. The fear of Allah or the consciousness of God ultimately makes you follow the rules. Be a good human being, a good citizen. It's very important. So taqwa in the same way, when a person has taqwa, he doesn't need all this policing. But that's what Allah wants from us, how Allah wants it from us. But what happens? Do majority of the people follow this criteria of taqwa? No, a lot of people don't today. And so yes, that's where you have the laws of Sharia. The dunyawi, worldly laws where you have to do this, you have to follow these consequences, you have to go to court, you have to have a qadi, you have to have all these witnesses, etc., etc. But ultimately, the intention of Allah, or the understanding, is that Allah Ta'ala wants us to adopt these type of things. For example, taqwa. For example, belief in the akhirah, the afterlife. For example, tawakkul. Relying totally on Allah Ta'ala. When a person adopts these three things, or these type of things, specifically, here in this surah, these three things are mentioned over and over, then he will not have these problems. Allah will give him all the solutions. Now, other rules such as crime, punishment, taqwa is not sufficient because a person would not have committed a crime with taqwa. Yes? Yes? So you have hard rules and laws. You have to go to prison, right? There's retaliation, right? So you have to have worldly laws. Islam also has a worldly legal system where you have to go to prison and you have to face the consequences. Yes? However, in nikah and talaq, it's a little bit different. Because nikah and talaq is a personal matter of the home. Crimes and punishment of crimes that are committed outside, people easily may be witness to it. And you can bring the person to justice. Even now, in today's time, you have cameras everywhere. You can easily, find the culprit, see the crime, know what happened, etc., etc. But what happens at home stays at home. No one knows. That's why this taqwa aspect is more needed inside the home than outside. Now try to understand the perspective of why Allah used taqwa more in this surah and in these rulings. Similarly, if there's to be abuse, then there may be less a chance of abusing outside and not being caught. You'll get caught easily. There'll be witnesses or something, right? They'll find some evidences. Investigation is much more easier than when abuse is committed inside the house. When a husband abuses the wife or the wife abuses the husband, no one knows anything. No one knows, it's inside. So where is taqwa more needed? Inside the home. And so this is the, subhanAllah, when I read this, I was amazed. I never thought of it this way. So why Allah Ta'ala mentioning taqwa so many times? Just taqwa advice. No, there's a whole reason for this. Taqwa is more needed at home because no one knows what's happening inside the house besides the people, individuals. Even when you go to the cops, when you go to the court, when you go to a judge, it's only your word against hers and hers against yours. There's no proof. There's no witness. And who nowadays even puts cameras in their home too? Even today's time, you won't put what? Cameras in your homes. Generally speaking. Right? So that's why taqwa is more applicable inside the house. Okay, let's go back to nikah. When a person gets married, the general sunnah khutbah is what? We recite 3 ayat of the Quran. Yes? Everyone knows it because we attend nikah, the 3 ayat. Most people concentrate on how beautiful the Qari sings, recites the ayat. They never concentrate on the actual meaning of the ayat. All 3 ayat talk about taqwa. Ittaqu rabbakum, right? All 3 ayat. Next time you go to a nikah, listen to the ayat. All 3 ayat, specifically the sunnah ayat of nikah, have to do with taqwa. Do you know why? Because between a husband and a wife, no one else will regulate what happens between you. There's no police there. There's no law there. There's no court case. There's no judge. There's no witnesses. Now, when you put the witness as Allah, it's going to change everything. Fear Allah in the way you treat your wife. Fear Allah in what you say to your husband. Fear Allah in the rights that you have due upon him and he has due upon you. If you make the foundation taqwa, then the husband and wife will be more careful what they say to each other. If you know that everything that I say to her, my Allah is specifically watching and noting everything down, he'll be scared to say something. Even the word talaq, he'll be scared to say. She'll be scared to now argue and fight with him all the time because Allah is watching. He's watching all the time, everywhere, but specifically between husband and wife, Allah is the third. He is the witness, very specifically. Now, if the couple puts Allah first before everything they say and everything they do, will the nikah not be long-lasting and more successful? Will it not? I think everyone's tired or hungry, one of the two. If the parties, the husband and wife, if they put taqwa, if the first thing the imam tells them, their parents tell them when they get married, parents are supposed to advise their children. Nowadays, unfortunately, many parents don't. They just play nikah kallo. And you're just putting your kids in, they don't know what they're doing. They're going into an amusement park and they don't know they didn't put their belt on. You told them never to put their belt on, they're riding all until they die. Parents need to be advising their children before they get married, and not one night before, not the night before, from a year, 2 years before. This is what you have to do in a nikah. They have to explain to their sons, this is what you have to do, these are your rights. This is what you have to be careful of. This is what you don't say. This is what you do say. This is what you, all of these. And the mothers have to teach their daughters. They don't want to teach their daughters because daughters are the what? MashaAllah. The fruit, you know, you don't have to be princesses. Yes, princesses have rules and laws too. Princesses have rules and laws too. You cannot do this, you cannot do this, you must do this. Yes, you must do this for your husband. Nowadays, women, it's different because of this whole feminism thing. It's a big problem. We have to teach our children what the laws of deen are. Yes, the hadith says you must obey your husband. And yes, the hadith says that the best of you are those who are best in treatment to your wives. These things must be taught. Samaj, today's modern society will not teach them this. They will not. They will not learn this in school. Just like you taught them salah, you taught them fasting, you taught them zakat, or you're supposed to. You taught them hajj, you have to teach them nikah and talaq also. Now we have to ask ourselves, which one of us as parents taught our children about nikah and talaq? So when they have problems, it's our fault. Anyway, the first thing that they should be teaching them is taqwa. Allah's watching. Be careful what you say to her. Be careful what you say to him. Allah's watching. Be careful what you do. Allah's watching. Be careful the rights you fulfill, don't fulfill. So in nikah and talaq, taqwa is much more emphasized than in other rulings that Allah Ta'ala gives. I think we all understood this from this surah, right? So three things if we can take back. If we forgot everything today, three things let's take back. Taqwa, tawakkul, akhirah. Allah says that taqwa, let's look at the verses one at a time. If we're going to go back to the Quran, those who are looking inside, the first ayat of taqwa, Allah says what? وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ رَبَّكُمْ. The first ayat, it's in the middle. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ رَبَّكُمْ. Fear Allah your Lord. But it's very general. He doesn't say, anything else. Now, if you go down to the second verse, and in the end, second verse, in the end, Allah says, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ. Actually, before that, He says what? This is for those who bring iman and وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, who believe in the akhirah. I'll come back to that. Then He says, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ. The one who fears Allah, يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. Number one, He will make an exit for him, a solution for him. In general, when a person adopts taqwa, Allah makes it easy for him. In whatever he does, Allah makes it easy for him. Specifically in this surah, in the matter of talaq, when a person has taqwa, Allah will give him the right solution. Maybe nikah, continued nikah is the solution. Allah will put khair in there. If he has taqwa. Maybe talaq is the right solution. If it is, Allah will make that decision right for him. And if he doesn't have taqwa, let's look at the flip side of the coin. If he doesn't have taqwa, the nikah can also be a means of barbadi, ruin for him. The talaq can also be a means of barbadi or ruin for him. Same thing, her too. Because they both have to sit down and decide what they want to do. They both have to sit down and decide what they want to do. But if taqwa is in the foundation, it doesn't matter what they ended up with as a result. There will be no khair. The nikah, they're continuing, may not be a solution for them. The talaq that occurred, that also might not be a solution for them. Everyone understood this? So the solution is not what decision I make. The solution is, did I adopt taqwa? That's the solution. In all cases. There was a recent divorced couple that came and said, Sheikh, this is what happened, and I'm not sure if I want to go back with him or not. So I said, look, it's whether you go back with him or not, that's not what you should be looking at. You should be looking at when you do go back to him or don't go back to him, did you bring taqwa in your life? Because ultimately, he's probably going to do the same thing, whatever he did. You think a person's going to change so quickly? A person's not going to change. You live for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years with the person. Just by going back to him or not going back, that's not going to change the way he is or the way she is. It's not going to change. If you're not the change won't happen. So if you adopt the taqwa and change your way, your lifestyle, your idea and understanding, then there could be some khair in the nikah. Or even the khair in the talaq. But if you don't adopt anything, if you don't adopt the taqwa, then whatever decision you make, there's no point. It doesn't really matter. Did everyone understand now? One is the general, how taqwa is applied, Allah gives a solution, and one specifically in this matter here. So this is the first result of taqwa. Second result وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. Rizq. Allah will sustain them from means unimaginable. What does this mean? Normally, when the divorce... Okay, in general, it means that when you have taqwa in your life, what does taqwa mean? Fearing Allah's displeasure. Fearing Allah will be upset with me, so therefore following the rules, so Allah is not displeased with me. Staying away from sin and following Allah's sharia and law. This is taqwa, right? Adopting Islam fully. And having consciousness, Allah is always watching, Allah is always watching, Allah is always watching. So in general, when a person adopts taqwa and he goes through problems, Allah gives him the solution and Allah will also sustain him. Okay, that's the general rule. Specifically in this surah with these rulings, when a man and woman go through nikah, go through talaq, and they make their foundation taqwa, then it doesn't matter whether they're making money, whether they're both working or not, whether there's a business, whether there's paychecks coming in, Allah will sustain them. If they bring taqwa in their lives, Allah will bring taqwa, bring rizq from sources unimaginable. Have we ever seen in our lives that some people are not working, but somehow Allah just, somehow everything is being provided for? Have you ever seen those examples? This is what Allah Ta'ala taught. We're not saying don't adopt means. You have to adopt means in dunya. But means should not be the end. You shouldn't make means the objective and say, you know what, because of my work, I'm able to sustain my family. No, you're grateful to your boss, but Allah is the ultimate provider of my family. And Allah is using me as a means. Otherwise, when you die, what's going to happen? Now, if you didn't teach your children taqwa, your family, then they're also going to go like, hey, afsos, that's it, it's done, we're finished. But if you taught your children taqwa, even if the father dies, they're like, Allah will take care of us. He took care of us all the time, He'll continue taking care of us. So another result of taqwa is rozi, rizq, sustenance. When a person adopts taqwa, Allah takes care of them. Again, just because you're making money doesn't mean you have a rozi. Just because you have bread on the table doesn't mean you have your rozi. People, again, when they look at the flip side of the coin, I don't have taqwa, but I have food on the table. I have paychecks coming in. I have my bills paid. Are you content? Are you pleased with what you have? And if you die today, are you okay that you'll be safe? Is your earnings halal? Are your kids okay? Are they listening to you? Is there itminan and safety and security at home? Is there, what do you say, itminan, calmness? Right? Is there calmness at home? Or is there... So what's the actual meaning of rizq? That Allah takes care of you, that you're taken care of. Not just money coming to your check and food on the table. Many people have money and food and clothing and houses and cars, but you look at their lives, the guy wants to commit suicide. So what kind of rozi and sustenance is that? You understand? At the same time, just because you might not have the apparent house and the car and the food and all this stuff, doesn't mean Allah does not... You'll see some people, they're quite content with what they have. This is rizq also. So when a person has taqwa, whatever happens, whether nikah continues or talaq happens, Allah will sustain you. This is the promise of Allah Ta'ala. This is how it applies here. Number 3, وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. The one who has tawakkul. Akhirah was 1, taqwa was 2, and tawakkul. The one who has tawakkul. What is tawakkul? When you rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, this does not mean I do not adopt means, asbab. I do adopt means, but my goal, focus, objective is Allah Ta'ala. Allah is the provider. He is the ultimate one that will take care of me. Whether I have a husband or don't have a husband, He'll take care of me. Whether my children are working or not, He'll take care of me. Whether my wife will take care of me or not, Allah will take care of me. When a person has tawakkul, فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. Allah will suffice him. Allah will suffice him. One of the biggest problems we have, one of the biggest reasons for depression today is what? Any relationship, husband, wife, father, son, boss and employee, what's the biggest problem? I rely on the next person. The employee relies on the boss. The son relies on the father. The wife relies on the husband. In a general manner, yes, you can, but ultimate reliance must be on who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When that happens, then when the person doesn't fulfill the right that's due on me, it's easy for the person to let go. Or when the father does all this for his children and they grow up only to leave him in an old age home, Allah protect us. What happens? Is a father worried? A father who has taqwa, who has tawakkul, it's okay. Allah will take care of me. My kids, I never expected them to take care of me anyway. What happens when he, mashallah, when he thinks like that, then he's mentally very strong. Then he doesn't go through depression. He's fine. Most of the time, our people will go through depression when? When they have too much reliance on, I did this much for my brother. I did this. I brought him to America and his whole family. And now they're big guys, and now when we need help, they're not helping us. Now, perishani. I gave him this much money he owes. Now your whole life, you're just worried about when is he going to pay me back. We become old just thinking of it, and we die because of it too, depression. But if I did this, Ya Allah, I'm giving this to your banda for your sake. He's supposed to give me back, and I expect him to, but if he doesn't, Ya Allah, you catch him. And over there, you give me back. Over there, you get 100 times more. What happens now? In Urdu, they say, do something and kuwa mein phek do. Do a good deed and throw it in the well. It means when you do something good, you're doing it for Allah, then you don't expect back from the servant. When that happens, you're not even going to look at him again as, oh man, every time, what happens? Every time we see my brother, he owes me this much money. Every time. And he also stays away from me now. Qata ta'alluq. You also know what happens. Family disunity also. But if your head is what? Allah will give me, Allah will take care of it. And you tell him, listen, you do owe me this much, pay back when you can. And after that, you just leave it. If he pays you back, alhamdulillah. If he doesn't, that matters with Allah Ta'ala. If you didn't get that money, what's going to happen? You're still going to live your life anyway. Allah's going to give you that much sustenance you're supposed to get in dunya anyway. He's not going to decrease anything from you. So it was never meant to come to you. But when you keep badgering him, give back, what happens? You become more worried, you don't get your money also, and you die because of depression. So tawakkul is a very big thing. Now that's general. When a person has tawakkul, Allah suffices them. That's general. Now specifically, this surah, these rulings, when a woman specifically, when she's divorced, what is her biggest worry? Who's going to take care of me? How am I going to fend for myself? Allah Ta'ala is saying, have tawakkul, Allah will suffice you. Now if nikah, again, if a person doesn't have tawakkul and taqwa, she may remarry that same husband, but guess what? The hope and the reliability she had on the husband didn't even happen. He was not reliable. He cheated on her again. He misused the money. He doesn't provide for her. So did you get what you wanted out of the marriage? No. And maybe you divorced, and now you're more worried. But when you have taqwa, inshallah, that nikah will bring you, the tawakkul and taqwa will bring you good results. Even if it may not be that, okay, it seems as if he's not providing, Allah will take care of it. Or in this worst case scenario, she's divorced now. But she had taqwa and tawakkul, guaranteed, I guarantee you, I say, wallahi, Allah says this, He will take care of you. Don't worry about it. But the condition is you have to adopt what? Taqwa and tawakkul. Taqwa and tawakkul. Allah talked about akhirah also. What is akhirah? Akhirah means have taqwa in Allah, that Allah is watching everything, He's witnessing everything. Have tawakkul, Allah will take care of everything. And believe in akhirah, the solution behind this, medicine, I call it medicine, right? Is that when you expect everything in the akhirah, then you will not expect in dunya. Ajib. Now when you do a favor to somebody, but you're saying, and I'm looking at my akhirah, not how much is going to give me back? How much are you going to give me back if I do something for you? I saved your life. Can you save my life back again? Can you give me my worth? No, you can't. That's why they say, it comes in a hadith that when you teach a person surah, they cannot give you back. They cannot. So what do we say? Jazakallah. What does Jazakallah mean? When we need to stop saying thank you. At least to Muslims, we have to say what? Jazakallah khaira. Thank you. When you say thank you to me, I feel good for 1 second. After that, I don't get anything. But when you say Jazakallah khaira, it means may Allah reward you the best for what you just did for me. Now, can Allah give us back what we deserve? 100%. But can insan give back by saying thank you? What does thank you do? It doesn't do anything for me. I just feel good for 1 second. So that's why when a person keeps their focus on akhirah, I did something for this person because of my akhirah, then whether this person gives back to me or not, I'll get in my akhirah. If a person has that belief, subhanAllah, these three terms, taqwa, tawakkul, and akhirah, these are our prescribed medicines that we need to, take tablets every day, 3 times a day. These tablets are the ones we should be taking. These are the tablets we should be taking. Taqwa tablets, tawakkul tablets, akhir tablets. Wallahi, if you start taking it from now, and Allah give us all tawfiq, you'll see all your problems gone. You'll have problems, but you have no worry. And this is why, you know, the awliya, the friends of Allah, the pious servants of Allah, it's not that they were never sick. It's not that they didn't have situations at home. They had more situations at home. You think the sheikh and the alim and the mufti, his kid is on the path? No, sometimes his kid is the worst. You don't think he has diabetes and high blood pressure and all these? He has more than you. You'll see, mashallah, you go to his house, my father has his own pharmacy. Allah Ta'ala preserve all of them and give them good health and afiyat. Sheikh Bashir, I was with him, he has a whole bag. Half of his luggage is medicine. The awliya, the friends of Allah, they're taking these medicines too, but they're content with what they have. I'm a witness, I've seen this. And the likes of the big awliya of today, or the big ulama of today, they're not worried. They're having their ice cream and they're taking their insulin. They're having their cold water and their sweets and they're having their medicine. They're not worried. Like, I'm gonna die anyway. You know. So that's the reward of having taqwa, tawakkul, and belief in akhirah. You'll have your same sicknesses, the same problems at home, but Allah will give you a means of contentment. You won't be pereshan and worried. You'll die with ease, comfort. You won't have to just worry about what's going to happen. And so, how do you adopt taqwa? How do you adopt tawakkul? How do you adopt your belief in akhirah? That's a separate whole bayan we're not going to go over. But we're going to do just one story. And this is the story that was related in these verses. Everyone understood how these three terms applies in general and then applies specifically to nikah and talaq, inshallah? Okay. So there's one story. It's not completely related to these rulings, but it comes under these verses. Auf bin Malik al-Ashja'i radiyallahu anhu, sahabi, he had a son named Salim or Salim. He was kidnapped. So he went to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, said, what do I do? My son is kidnapped. Now think about it. Son is kidnapped. What do we do? Automatically, call the cops. Call the cops. Huh? Get crazy, call the cops, raise awareness, print his picture and put it on every single, media outlet, every single tree. There's nothing wrong. You're supposed to use means. But what did Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tell them? Allah, this is the meaning of actual tawakkul. He said, recite, and I want everyone to learn this. He said, recite, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There is no power, there is no might except for Allah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Keep reading it. And the narration mentions, him and his wife kept on reading. His son, what happened? The thieves that stole him, they at a certain time they all became, sleepy and weak or whatever happened, they went to sleep and he had his chance to escape. And he didn't just escape, he took the other things they stole, the other wealth they stole from him, he took that with him also. You know where this story came? Under this ayat. وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. The one who has tawakkul, Allah will suffice him. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ. The one who fears of Allah, يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. He will not only give him an exit, he'll escape. وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. He'll give him wealth we never even imagined. So not only did the son escape, he also took their wealth with them. There's a whole masla, is the wealth his or not? Leave that for now. But basically, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, look, just go ahead. What happened? What did they do? They didn't go to social media and the cops. And you can do that, you should do that. But the first avenue was what? La hawla, tawakkul on Allah Ta'ala. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Mujaddid al-Fithani, one of the great ulama, mujaddideen of the past, he gives us a very beautiful nuskha, prescription. He says, whenever you're in any major difficulty, recite durood 100 times. Any durood, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Recite that 100 times. Recite la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah 500 times. And then again recite durood 100 times. Right? Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, or Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And then make the earnest dua to Allah. Inshallah, Allah will remove you from the difficulties or difficult situation that you have. This is not sunnah. This is just a prescription of the awliya, of the sulaha, of the righteous of the past, that he said, I've tried it and every single time it's worked. In other words, the ulama say this dua, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, is a prescription for difficulties, for hardships, for difficult situations. Subhanallah. when these Palestinians are martyred, when they become shaheed, you'll hear them reciting this. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Another one they recite is Hasbi Allahu wa ni'mal wakil. Beautiful dua. فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. The one who is tawakkul على Allah, upon Allah, فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. Same word. Hasb means being sufficient. So when that Palestinian child says, Hasbi Allahu, Allah is sufficient for me. Subhanallah. He's saying, I don't need you. I don't need all these countries that are not. They see all this zulm happening and they see nothing. I don't need you guys. Allah is sufficient. وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلِ. And He is the best witness to what is happening. Hasbi Allahu wa ni'mal wakil. Ajib dua. So, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Hasbi Allahu wa ni'mal wakil. And one hadith also mentions that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would recite this over and over again. Whenever he was in difficulty, he would recite, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. And you can also continue and recite, وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. If we can all memorize this small part. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. The one who has fear of Allah, Allah will make a solution easy for him. You've granted him solution, وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. And Allah will sustain him from means that he never imagined. So this is some very, very specific why Allah put these verses in here. It's not just random, oh, have taqwa. Here, every single ayat has it for a reason. Because a matter of nikah and talaq is between the husband and wife. If it's not based on taqwa, if it's not based on tawakkul, even between husband and wife, if they don't have trust, nikah will not last. It will not last. So trust in Allah and somewhat trust in your partner also. Otherwise, the nikah will not last. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to act on what has been said. And here we finished and completed all the different types of women who are divorced and their different iddah. And this is not, of course, enough. One more benefit, and I'll finish off in another ayat, is not here, of taqwa, is Allah ta'ala, He expiates him for his sins. We mentioned that. يُكَفِّرْ عَنْهُ سَيِّئَاتِهِ. That's another benefit. And another benefit, Allah gives him, when a person adopts taqwa, Allah gives a person the ability, we're going to finish here inshallah, the ability to differentiate between good and evil. Sometimes we don't know what's right and wrong. When a person adopts taqwa, Allah teaches him how to know what's right and wrong. Right? Another ayat in the Quran says, يَجْعَلْ لَهُ فُرْقَانًا. يَجْعَلْ لَهُ فُرْقَانًا. He gives him the deciphering ability to judge what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, what is harmful, what is not, what is halal, what is haram. May Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallah wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Ji, you had a question? 100 durood, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah 500 times, and 100 durood again. Durood means salawat. And then dua. After. In our madrasa in Darul Uloom, after Dhuhr every day they recite it. Just for the madrasa finance and madrasa help and these type of things. Again, some people think it's a sunnah. It's not a sunnah. It's just a prescription that has helped. The ulama have experienced that it's helped, and so they apply it. So if anyone says it's a sunnah, then it becomes a problem. Then it becomes a bid'ah. So we don't call it sunnah. Allah give us tawfiq. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.